Hey everybody! Today we are going to learn how to create a typographical portrait. And this is essentially one of many various ways that you can create some really amazing typographical art. And I'm going to show you the steps here through using Photoshop CS6. Now, the methods I'm discussing can go as far back as Photoshop CS. So do not worry if you do not have the most up-to-date version, or when you're watching this video, if there's a higher version than CS6, it shouldn't really matter. Now, the trick with doing typographical portraits is really about combining different methods. There's a lot of different methods out there. There's a lot of different cookie cutter methods out there, which you do not want to just mimic because then it wouldn't be original. So I'm going to show you the different methods alone as they stand by themselves, and we'll kind of work our way up in creativity when we discuss it in class. So the first thing you're going to need is a very high contrasted image. And here I have a picture of Olivia Wilde. And the reason I chose this picture is it has a lot of midtones. The background is very dark and the lighting is very vivid. And that makes for a good effect using the technique I'm about to teach you. Now, this is a very simple technique. You may be surprised how easy it is. A lot of you have seen this technique online and maybe just didn't understand kind of how they got to that effect. So we're going to start simply with the most basic. All right, the first thing you're going to need again is a photo, and I went ahead and downloaded some brushes. I looked for scrambled letters, and I went and on Google typed scrambled letter brush. So feel free to do that. You can do scrambled letter brush Photoshop, and you'll get the first brush you can see there. You'll notice there's also a lot of other ones. Let's go through and just see what we find here. And you know, this is the first time we're doing this, so it's really just about finding the right one. And I can't really see what's going on in this thumbnail. They made it kind of tiny, so I'm assuming the brushes themselves look like to be in Japanese characters. So I'm going to go through and just look at some brushes. This is actually the one I found originally. And we'll go one more resource, see if there's anyone. Yep, it's the same one. So this is something that, you know, if you know how to make your own brushes, this is very easy. I'll show you in another video, or maybe at the end of this video, how to create a brush using text. So you can kind of follow along and do your own thing. And what we're going to do now is we're going to use that brush. I've loaded it into Photoshop. And I'm going to bring up Olivia here. And it's a very simple step. What you're going to need, though, is to organize yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new group. I'm going to go to the bottom here and create a new group. And I'm going to double click on that group and name it letters. Okay, and those are our letter group. And we're going to actually go through a process of adding and deleting layers rather quickly once we get the pattern down, the rhythm down of this. All right, so now that we have that, we're going to go ahead and give ourselves a background. And I'm going to put that at the very bottom, and I'm going to just name it BG for background. And I want to fill it with a black color. Now, if you're using Photoshop, I'm going to use a Mac computer. Obviously, you can probably tell by my toolbar that this does not want to go away right now. Let's move this up. There we go. But I'm going to fill that layer. I'm going to highlight the layer blue and hit, let's see here, Option Delete. Now, Option Delete will take this color and fill it. Command Delete will take the little back cube and fill it. So this is kind of a little nice way to kind of get just a solid background. All right, now that we have that, we're ready to move forward. So I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm not going to even name this layer because this is going to become a trash layer. And what we're going to do is essentially just use our brush. And I'm going to go, and I already loaded all my my brushes in here. We can go through them. You can see some of them are bigger than others. This one's more of a blob brush, so it doesn't really make sense for this. But this one has some letters. So I'm kind of going through and just hovering over, seeing what my brushes look like. A lot of symbols in these. This is, again, out of my hand. I should have made my own brush, but that's okay. And I'm going through. None of those strike out. Now, the one I do use on this one is the 1896, just because it tends to have a lot more brushes, and same with this 92 one. They tend to be a little more dense. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make sure you're on this layer, layer 1, I'm going to go ahead and paint. So it's asking us right now to kind of paint in the brush, and you can see I did that. I'll do it a few times. I don't want to go too crazy here. I'm going to keep it kind of simple. And I'm going to go ahead then and create a new layer. And you can even keep layer 1 on here. And you'll see why I create different layers in a second. But maybe I'll get this 92 brush. And I look for the large letter forms. Putting them over the eyes. There we go. You can change the scales of your brush and make them really tiny. So let's do some of that. Let's do a new layer. And that will give us some smaller letters to kind of deal with. There we go. So right now this looks absolutely horrible. If we take this off, that's essentially what I just painted. But now here's the trick to this. We're going to take all of our new little layers off that we've created. We're going to just start with layer 1. We're going to use this text as a cookie cutter. Now, very easy. I'm going to just hit Command, and you see when I hold Command down, I get a little box over my, let's zoom in here, over my layer. I'm holding the Command key down. Command click, it selects all of my layers. Now here's where it gets tricky. Go to your letters and create a new layer in the letters menu. And actually, strike that. Let's do it this way. Select Olivia. Okay. With it selected, and I hit Command C for copy. So that's just like going to edit copy. And then Command V, edit paste. And you'll get this. It will actually create a layer for you. Drag that layer into your letters panel. Close it off. Okay. And I keep the eyeball off on this one for the time being. Now, I'm going to do that many more times, so if you miss that step, do not worry. Once I'm done with that layer, though, once I cut it, I'm going to delete it. So now watch again. It's a repetitive process. Command-click on now layer 2, highlight Olivia, Command-C, Command-V, and paste, and you get a brand new layer, put it into your letters panel, and delete the one you just cut. One more time. Turn it on, Command-C, on Olivia, Command-V on Olivia. It gives us a new layer, which we put in our letters panel. Delete the one that we use as a cookie cutter. So, doesn't look like we've done much. If I turn them all on, you actually won't even be able to see them. It's a little weird. But what's actually happened is, if I turn off Olivia and turn them on, what we get is kind of that cool effect, don't we? Now this is just with a single brush, but you can start to make out her eye. It kind of takes the negative space, and in this case it took the picture with it, but really started to define the picture of Olivia herself. Now I've seen a lot of other people at this point actually do like an overlay on their image to kind of help pop it out, and I moved Olivia above the letters, or a soft light, just to kind of give it a little more definition. It seems too easy, doesn't it? Well, for the most part it is. The trick is being meticulous and taking the hours to not just get a random brush and just hit it 3 times and get 3 layers, but it's really about dealing with the contour of the face. So how could we use this technique maybe with a different result, a little more organized result? Well, let me show you that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to delete all my layers. So I'm going to delete those. I'm going to drag layer 6 here. All I have now is Olivia, and I'll put her back to normal. There she is. And I'm going to use my pen tool. And this is what you're going to see a lot of people do who are a little more meticulous with things. And I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to get my pen tool. I'm going to follow the contour of her face. So I'm going to click. I'll click and drag. I like to use the Option key, and it removes one of the Beziers. Option key. Option key. Once I have a line that I like, what I'll do is I'll get my text tool, and I'll hover right over it. And this depends on how big your typeface is. Right now mine's pretty big, so I'm going to take it down slightly. It's probably too small. This is that's even too big too. Let's go even smaller than that. Let's have that. This is an eyelid. on her face. Okay, so face disappears, don't worry. I'm going to grab my little arrows here in Photoshop and kind of adjust those willingly, and that will give us kind of the feel that we're looking for. And this is really great because if I turn this off, you can see I've kind of contoured her face already. The color of this does not matter, guys. You can go ahead and, let's say you were painting with white. That's fine. You were painting with black. Whatever contrast you like. Remember, that's just using this as a cookie cutter. And what people will do is they'll spend hours and hours just kind of dealing with these lines. So I'm going to draw another one. I'm going to think of the leading between the type. Just kind of work it out. There we go. And so forth. And this is all preempting what we did with the last text tool here. And I could say more eye stuff here, more text. Cool. I kind of work my way. Maybe I put some scale in there. Maybe I grab the word stuff and make it a little larger. You've seen this, I'm sure, before. Go back to my little arrow tool and see what I can't do on that path. Let's go into our path. There it is. You can actually flip it too if you're not careful. Move it out. There's text. Okay. So we're dealing with her eye, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just keep doing this for you guys. I'm going to keep the video playing. You're more than welcome to fast forward. I understand how tedious this could come off. I know you guys are going to be spending plenty of time on your own. This essentially is just for the people who are still learning Photoshop, so they can continue to watch my movement and really work on this project. I'm going to type, here is the under eye, and you can see the under eye, it's kind of going toward the eye. So there's a little trick again, and it's a little tricky to get to here. There we go. You can see now I can just plop it underneath and do all sorts of stuff. So I can make that text go upside down. Now obviously, guys, I would want to somehow reverse this text or, flip it another way. I can use the command key or type it, again, another way. But I'm just doing this all willy-nilly just to show you that it is possible. So let's make more here. This is called topology. Any of you guys who have ever used Maya or have done anything in 3D, it tends to just mean the curvature of something, the curvature of the face. Okay, and we'll do this. More eye stuff here. Okay. Don't be so cynical with your type. I'm just, again, just attempting to show you guys. Now this will not move it, but the path selection tool will actually move it downward as well. You can see I can flip it or I can drag it. I'm going to use that path selection tool and attempt maybe to move it if it wants to let me do it. Let's try that again. Sometimes I even go to the path tool. And, the hard part about this, guys, is exactly what's happening to me right now. It's figuring out, and see the move tool did it, it's figuring out the right tools, the placement, all sorts of fun stuff. And then going back and forth and maybe turning off your character's background, understanding, scale, things of that nature. And I'm going to do one more line up here, and maybe we'll contour her, the curvature of her natural eye here anyway. And it's a trial and error process. So let's take that, that. She kind of has cat eyes. Reason I chose this photo as one of the main ones because I knew it would be very distinct and easier to do. Is the top of the eye here. Get the move tool, I can kind of nudge that into place. I can go and select all my layers, nudge them where I need to. Very good. Cool. So you can see the ability. Now, a lot of you are wondering, okay, how does this relate to what we did before? Well, it's the same process. We're going to turn off all of them. Do it here. If you command click on something, you simply go to Olivia, Command C, Command V, drop it into letters. And then kind of work your way up. When you're done, delete the one you just cut. Turn the eyeball on, Command click. Go to Olivia, Command C, Command V, it makes a new layer, put that into the letters, delete the one with the eyeball. So you can see there's a pattern here, guys. Command click, go to Olivia, Command C, Command V, throw it into letters, and delete. So I'm going to finish up the last two here. Alright, delete the last of them. And letters are on. Turn the background on, and you can see we are actually pulling in the picture a little bit here. So as long as we keep it close, we can start to get the shape of an eye. You have to just be very meticulous with it, and you know, really deal with stuff like if you know the word stuff is going to be larger. Now there's really no going back because I deleted all those layers. So just keep them organized. If you want to keep all that text in a separate file, that's up to you as well. But hopefully that gives you kind of a good understanding. Now the last thing I want to do is just teach you really simply how to create a brush of your own. What you can do is making brushes is actually really easy in Photoshop. What I'm going to do is get the text tool here, and I'm going to type text. I'm going to literally make a brush called text. Very, very cliche, I know. But let's go ahead and make this a little larger. Okay, so our brush is going to be actually quite big. Now that we have this brush text, well, this whole area would become text. So we have some options. What I like to do is I like to copy it, Command C. I like to create a new file, and I just paste that in there. I'm going to just, doesn't really even have to be on a background, to be honest with you. It can be black, it can be any color you want, but I'm going to go ahead and put it in its own file. I'm going to take that file and go to Edit and Define Brush Preset, and it says the preset command is empty. Alright, so we have to kind of figure out what that means. So the first thing I'll do is probably make sure that my text here is black. Maybe it will read black a little nicer. And let's see, image, define brush. There it is, black worked, sample brush. We'll call it text brush. Great. You could put a bunch of words. You could put a whole paragraph here. I'm done. I can delete this and, you know, believe it or not, watch this, guys. I'll even delete that there. I'll make an empty layer, hit B for brush, and now in my brushes panel, I have a text brush. And what I can do with that text brush is a lot of fun stuff. I can, again, scale it. I can almost paint with it. Now, it's not bending toward the topology of the head, so this doesn't really make any sense right now, but you can see the ability that you're going to actually have here. I can go to my brush editor. I could rotate it. I could deal with the shape and the scattering, make it more painterly, make it a little crazier. Let's go to scattering real quick. Scatter will open it up, and then all of a sudden, you can see we'll have our word text here. And we can do the same technique we've done before. So you can work on that, maybe make it a little larger in certain areas. And being that I used my brush shape up here, that helps. Hit Command click, Command C, Command V. I'll delete the one I commanded on, and I can start making the brush that way. And I'll actually start to bring her in. So this is just one of various methods to kind of get text working on your actual file itself. We're going to go over some more methods in other videos, but right now play with this a little bit and let your creativity kind of go to work.